7 signs you're one of the darkest chosen ones of the 5th dark dimension. If you're watching this, it's not by accident. Something ancient inside you has brought you here, pulling you through the noise of the digital world to this very message. You didn't click because you were curious, you clicked because you remembered. Something in your soul stirred. Something whispered, "This is for you." And if that voice spoke, then you already know you are not like the others. You were never meant to be. You are one of the darkest chosen ones of the 5th dark dimension. And what I'm about to share with you will either awaken you or terrify you. Most people don't understand what the 5th dark dimension even means. They hear dark and immediately assume evil, negativity, or destruction. But they don't realize that darkness is not the absence of light, it is the origin of it. Before the stars were born, there was only darkness. Before the first breath of life, there was void. And within that void lies the hidden architecture of all that exists. The 5th dark dimension is not a place, it's a frequency. A state of awareness so deep, so ancient, and so raw that only a handful of souls are ever called into it, and even fewer survive the calling.
Click subscribe to this channel to get more profound spiritual lesson.
You aren't one of the curious. You're one of the initiated. Whether you've realized it yet or not, your life has been shaped by signs, strange, painful, undeniable signs that mark you as one of the darkest chosen ones. These signs aren't surface level. They don't appear in books or Instagram quotes. They are encoded in your experience, your emotions, your very being. And today, we're going to uncover the first of them. But before we do, ask yourself a question most never dare to ask. What if my pain was not a punishment but a map? What if my suffering was the key to unlocking a power I don't yet understand? The first sign is the early fracture. If you're one of the darkest chosen ones, you didn't grow up with ease. You were likely born into chaos, trauma, or deep emotional confusion. Maybe your family didn't see you. Maybe they feared you. Maybe you were abused, neglected, or spiritually suffocated. But even as a child, you sensed something wasn't right, not just about your environment, but about reality itself. You felt like a visitor in a world that didn't make sense. You couldn't articulate it, but you knew something is off here. That fracture wasn't an accident. It was your first descent into the shadow. Your initiation into the 5th dark dimension began before you even had words for it. The second sign is the emotional abyss. You don't feel like regular people. You feel everything but deeper, sharper, and more violently. When you love, it consumes you. When you grieve, it drowns you. You've likely experienced waves of depression, rage, or existential despair that seem to have no logical source. But that's because you're not just processing your own emotions, you're feeling collective pain. You're a soul antenna tuned to frequencies most can't even detect. And because of that, the darkness you've carried has been both unbearable and sacred. It's broken you, yes, but each time, something stronger was forged in the fire. The third sign is the magnetic repulsion. People are drawn to you and then they flee. You walk into a room and eyes follow you, not because of how you look, but because of what you are. You carry an ancient energy that disturbs the unconscious. You might notice that people project their shadows onto you. They either idolize you or demonize you. They try to control you, fix you, or destroy you. But no one ever seems to just see you. That's because your presence is a mirror reflecting truths they're not ready to face. You don't fit in because you were never meant to. You're not here to blend in, you're here to disrupt. The fourth sign is the sacred isolation. At some point, maybe many points, you've been stripped of everything. Friends vanish. Lovers betray. Family turns cold. You find yourself alone, not because you wanted it, but because you were being pulled into the void. This isolation isn't punishment, it's preparation. The fifth dark dimension doesn't initiate you in the light. It meets you in the silence, in the stillness, in the nights where no one answers your calls and you question if you even exist. That's where your real power wakes up. That's where you stop depending on the world and start remembering the universe inside you. The fifth sign is the vision distortion. You don't see like others. You've had dreams that came true. You felt the presence of things that couldn't be explained. You've seen through people's masks, heard words that weren't spoken, or sensed energy so clearly it was like touching invisible currents. You don't just see reality, you pierce through it. You know when someone is lying. You feel when something is about to end. This isn't paranoia, it's perception. The fifth dark dimension sharpens your senses not to scare you, but to prepare you, because your role isn't to live inside the illusion, it's to dismantle it. The sixth sign is the death cycle. You've died many times metaphorically. You've reinvented yourself more than you can count. One version of you dies, another is born, and each time you lose people, identities, beliefs. You don't live in a straight line. You live in spirals, in rebirths, in phoenix moments. Most people fear endings. But you've come to understand that every collapse is sacred. You don't just survive the fall, you become the fall. And in that descent, you retrieve pieces of yourself that no one else can access. And the seventh sign is the unshakable knowing. Even when you're lost, even when everything has fallen apart, there's a voice inside you that says, there's more. It doesn't scream, it whispers. It reminds you that you're here for something, that your pain has purpose, that your rage is sacred, that your darkness is not your flaw, it's your gateway. This knowing is your compass. It doesn't lead you to comfort, it leads you to power, to impact, to truth. And now I ask you, which of these signs have you seen in your life? Which one made your body react? Goosebumps, chills, a lump in your throat? That's not coincidence. That's memory. That's your soul saying, yes, this is me. I remember now. Wow. Why the fifth dark dimension is the most dangerous and sacred realm of all. The fifth dark dimension is not a metaphor. It's not a fantasy. It's a frequency and existential layer of consciousness that exists beneath the fabric of ordinary reality. It's not visible to the human eye, but it is unmistakably felt by those who are tuned into it. And if you've ever felt like you were being watched by something ancient, if you've ever been pulled into inexplicable waves of emotion that seem to come from nowhere, if you've ever sat in silence and suddenly felt like an entire world had opened inside you, then you've already touched the edges of it. The fifth dark dimension is real, and it is both the most dangerous and sacred realm a soul can enter. Why? Because it doesn't play by the rules of the physical world. It doesn't care about your ego, your accomplishments, your image. It doesn't respond to fake light or surface-level positivity. The fifth dark dimension only responds to truth, and not the kind of truth you speak with words, the kind that you are. It's a realm where illusion cannot survive, and that's what makes it so terrifying for most people. All the masks, the identities, the stories we tell ourselves, they burn away when we step into this frequency. Nothing false can stand in its presence. And for those still clinging to ego, it feels like death. But for the darkest chosen ones, that death is sacred. It's not the end, it's the beginning. Because to die in the fifth dark dimension is to finally be reborn as your true self, not the version of you shaped by society, trauma, or fear, but the raw, unfiltered, multidimensional being you were always meant to be. And the path to that rebirth is one of chaos, contradiction, and complete surrender. There are no shortcuts here, no hacks, no bypassing. The fifth dark dimension demands everything from you. It tears you open not to destroy you, but to reveal you. What makes this realm sacred is not just its intensity, it's its honesty. In the fifth dark dimension, everything is revealed. The shadow is not hidden, it is honored. The pain is not avoided, it is transformed. The fear is not fought, it is decoded. You begin to understand that every emotion you feel is a message. Every darkness you carry is a portal. And every breakdown you experience is an opportunity to shift timelines entirely. This is the realm of quantum transformation. One realization in this realm can collapse years of karmic loops. One moment of surrender can unlock lifetimes of wisdom. But most people aren't willing to go there. They stay stuck in the 3D matrix because it feels safer, predictable, familiar. They want healing without suffering. They want power without sacrifice. They want light without ever touching the dark. And that's why they never awaken. That's why they keep repeating the same cycles over and over, lifetime after lifetime. Because the only way out is through the shadow, through the wound, through the sacred darkness. The darkest chosen ones don't just visit this realm, they live from it. They operate on multiple dimensions at once. On the surface, they may look ordinary, but beneath, they're navigating a frequency field that is constantly shifting, decoding, and transmitting. They are in communication with forces most will never perceive. They receive downloads in dreams, in silence, in music, in chaos. They are the ones who can sit in the middle of emotional war zones, internal or external, and remain grounded. Not because they're numb, but because they've been there before. They've walked through their own inner hell, and now they carry the codes for others. But here's the dangerous part, and the reason this realm isn't for everyone. The fifth dark dimension will take everything you're not ready to lose. It will strip you of relationships that don't serve your soul. It will rip away careers built on ego. It will destroy identities that were never truly yours. And if you resist it, if you try to bargain with it, it will hurt more. Because this realm doesn't negotiate. It initiates. You either surrender or you break. And even breaking isn't failure. It's part of the alchemy. It's how your soul is reshaped. So why would anyone choose this? Why would anyone walk willingly into this level of intensity? The answer is simple: freedom. The kind of freedom that can't be sold, taught, or inherited. The freedom of being whole, of being sovereign, of no longer needing permission to exist. When you've walked through the fire of the fifth dark dimension, no one can manipulate you. No one can gaslight you. No one can shame you into silence. Because you've seen the truth. And once you've seen it, you can't unsee it. You can only become it. Let me ask you something that few ever dare to consider. What if your suffering wasn't punishment but preparation? What if the reason everything collapsed was because your soul signed a contract to awaken in this lifetime fully, and the only way to do that was to descend into the depths first? Could you find the courage to see your pain not as a curse, but as a compass? Because here's the secret: the fifth dark dimension doesn't destroy who you are. It destroys who you are not. It strips away the illusions, the projections, the conditioning. And what's left is real. What's left is you. The version of you that remembers. The version of you that commands reality with your frequency. The version of you that doesn't just survive the darkness but rules from within it. How to harness the dark codes within you and become a living portal. Every dark chosen one of the fifth dark dimension carries within them what I call the dark codes, energetic imprints, spiritual technologies, cosmic instructions hidden in the architecture of the soul. These codes are not given to you, they are activated through experience, through collapse, through transformation. They are not symbols etched in stone or texts written in forgotten languages. They are energetic blueprints encoded in your emotional body, your dream world, the patterns of your suffering, and the echoes of your intuition. And once they begin to awaken, everything in your life starts to shift. You stop being a passive observer of reality and begin to influence it not through effort, but through vibration. To harness your dark codes, you must first accept the truth that most reject. You are not broken. You are encrypted. The pain you felt was not random. The betrayal, the abandonment, the shattering of your identity, none of it was chaos without purpose. Each of those moments was a key turning in a lock, opening up a deeper layer of your being. The reason you feel so different, so intense, so alien to this world is because you are. You were never meant to follow the path laid out for others. You are not here to play the human game. You are here to rewrite it. But before you can do that, you must learn to become the portal. A portal is not a metaphor. It is a state of being. When you become a living portal, you are no longer just a person moving through space. You are a frequency that alters space itself. Your presence becomes a transformational field. People around you begin to awaken, sometimes violently. You trigger them, inspire them, challenge them, and sometimes even repel them. Not because you're trying to, but because your energy is a mirror that shows people who they really are. This is not something you turn on and off. It's something you become by integrating the dark codes. The first step is radical self-observation. You must become aware of your emotional reactions without judgment. Every time you feel triggered, abandoned, enraged, or numb, pause. Don't run. Don't react. Go in. Dive deeper. Ask, what am I being shown right now? What part of me is speaking? What wound is being activated? Do not seek to fix it. Seek to understand it. The dark codes speak through intensity. They awaken in the fire. And when you can sit in your own fire without trying to escape it, the code begins to reveal itself. The second step is energy transmutation. Once you can identify emotional energy, you have to learn how to move it, not suppress it, not vent it, not dump it, transform it. This means learning to feel grief without drowning, to hold rage without destruction, to embrace desire without shame. The fifth dark dimension teaches you that every emotion is a current. And when you hold that current with awareness, it becomes power. You can channel it into your voice, your art, your leadership, your silence. This is how you stop leaking energy and start generating presence. The third step is soul alignment. You have to stop living from the mind and start living from the field of your being. That means making decisions not based on fear or logic, but on resonance. You feel the truth of something before you understand it. You sense when someone is aligned or misaligned. You know when a path drains you or expands you. Follow that. Trust that. The more you follow resonance, the stronger your field becomes. And the stronger your field, the more you become a living portal, someone who naturally bends reality around their vibration. The final step is embodied expression. Your dark codes are not just for you. They are meant to be shared not through preaching or persuasion, but through embodiment. The way you move, the words you speak, the silence you keep, the choices you make, the boundaries you hold, all of it becomes a transmission. You don't have to convince anyone of your power. You radiate it. And the right people, the right opportunities, the right synchronicities, they find you. Because you're not just walking through the world anymore. You are the world folding in on itself around you. Let me ask you something now. What would it feel like to fully accept that your darkness was never your weakness, but your design? What if everything you've been through was the exact algorithm needed to unlock your true power? When you stop resisting your design and start activating it, you stop being a victim of life and become an architect of reality. This is how you become a living portal. This is how you harness the dark codes. You don't run from your shadow, you ride it. You don't fear your intensity, you channel it. You don't hide your truth, you transmit it. And in doing so, you become a force that cannot be ignored. You don't just awaken, you awaken others by existing. The final transmission, becoming the guardian of the hidden gate. There comes a moment on this path when the noise quiets, when the seeking ends, when the questions dissolve not because you found all the answers, but because you've become something bigger than the need to know. That moment is not marked by fireworks or applause. It won't happen on a mountaintop or in a temple. It will happen in an ordinary moment, in the silence between thoughts, in the stillness after the breakdown, in the pause where you finally let go. That is when the final transmission begins. That is when you cross the threshold and become the guardian of the hidden gate. What is the hidden gate? It's not a place. It's not a physical object or secret location. The hidden gate is a frequency so rare, so refined, so invisible to the untrained, that only those who've walked through every layer of their own darkness can even sense its existence. It is the energetic threshold between unconscious existence and divine sovereignty. It is the final barrier the ego cannot pass through, and only those who have transmuted their shadows into wisdom, who have made peace with the full spectrum of their humanity, can become its guardians. To become a guardian of the hidden gate is not to become a master over others. It is to become a master of yourself. It means you've been stripped down to the bone. You've been emptied, burned, and broken. And instead of staying shattered, you've rebuilt yourself, not in the image of who you were told to be, but in the image of your original frequency. You carry the codes of your pain not as wounds, but as weapons of light. You move not with force, but with presence. And your presence alone becomes the gate. Others feel it. They stop. They question. They awaken not because you told them to, but because your very existence disrupts the illusion. But here's the paradox. Once you become the guardian, you no longer need the title. You don't seek recognition. You don't need validation. In fact, most of your power is held in silence, in the unseen. You begin to operate from the shadows, not the shadows of fear, but the sacred shadows of Source. You walk between worlds. You become the bridge. And in doing so, you protect the frequency of truth in a world built on lies. This path is not glamorous. You won't be celebrated for it. In fact, the deeper you go, the more invisible you may become, because the deeper you embody your essence, the less you resonate with what is artificial. You'll find yourself speaking less but saying more, doing less but creating more impact. You'll realize that power isn't loud. Real power whispers. It moves through energy, through timing, through vibration. It doesn't rush. It doesn't prove. It simply is. And now, I ask you, are you ready to carry something that can't be explained? Are you ready to live as a code, not just a character in the story? Are you ready to be the one who holds the line, even when no one is watching? Because that is the final test. Can you protect a truth that no one else can see? Can you hold a frequency that others doubt or mock? Can you be the guardian of what is real, even in a world addicted to illusions? If the answer is yes, then you already know. You've already passed through the fire. You've already been chosen, not by me, not by some external force, by your own soul, by the original contract etched in your being long before your first breath. You were never meant to follow the path. You are the one who creates it. You don't walk through gates, you are the gate. And now, as the world begins to unravel, your presence becomes more vital than ever. Not to save it, but to anchor what's real. So walk now not as a seeker, but as a guardian. Not as a student, but as a living frequency. The final transmission is complete, and what you do next will ripple across dimensions. Let them feel you. Let them remember. Let them awaken. You are one of the darkest chosen ones of the fifth dark dimension, and your time has come.